Okay, there we go. So this is just me updating chicken stuff and daily stuff. And so this is kind of like an overview of things I would like for us to talk about today, which is just kind of like what we're going to do environment art, lighting, concept art, texture studies, rigging, and other things that we kind of touched on Wednesday with our teachers. I also put this down here because the teachers are expecting an updated demo reel with stuff from the semester. So I want to remind you guys that you want to start saving things relating to that so that way you can show it on your demo reel later down the line because that's the thing. And then I'm tweaking the schedule stuff. So for check-ins, I'm only going to do these on Friday now because what ends up happening is we end up sharing a lot of our stuff on Monday, Wednesday. And so on Friday, you guys have less stuff to share me, and that means less screenshots and things for me to post, which isn't really, really beneficial for me in long run trying to explain and summarize everything at a constant weekly basis. So I'm just going to do these daily posts every Monday, Wednesday, and then on the check-in day, just all the screenshots and sharing of things. Unless the teachers ask to look at our stuff, then that's fine. I'll take screenshots as you guys are sharing to them. Makes it a little bit less complicated on me. And I kind of cleared out what everyone was doing because I have a feeling we're going to end up redoing all of everybody's jobs. So we'll see how that goes. No, I'm clearing out this one as well. I'm just like trying to figure out some calendar stuff because we need to start planning extra meetings that are like topic specific. So like story team needs to talk about this to help finish the script so we can finish this and et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of just the overall with how I'm kind of setting things up at the moment. Can feel free to comment. I don't want to keep blabbing forever.
I think so far so good. Makes sense.
Good.
Kind of threw us a curveball with here's 6 new things that need to be done.
I know.
I know. Whole like, hey, you guys are fine. Like, you don't need an animatic. You don't need beat boards. Like, we just, if you can get concepts, and then 4 weeks before the end of the semester, hey, if you could just, whip out a animatic
storyboard,
yeah, just go ahead and actually do those storyboards.
Pain in my soul, but yeah. I know Chili's not joining us until like 30 minutes later, so that's fine. But yeah, it's very much like that. Like how like your producers and directors just suddenly drop a curveball at you on the last month of the work. That's exactly how it is right now, and I'm like, whoop, time to.
Thanks, Howard. Thanks for that.
Yeah, because they were so fine with everything, and then all of a sudden
they keep saying we're like the most ahead group, and then they're like, and here's all this other shit.
Like, and now you need this.
Like, I'm still confused because it's like when we talked with them Wednesday, it still seemed like, oh, we just want you to do more lighting and environment concept stuff and character sketches, and I'm like. Yeah. But
I think it's that classic case of like what Howard and Paul put down in text is a lot stricter than what they talk about in class.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's likely what's happening right now, which is that happens a lot. I'm not going to say it doesn't happen a lot. Specifically with Paul and Howard as teachers, they're like the most chillest and nicest in class, but they're so strict on their freaking.
I mean, from what I remember a week ago, they just said we need to draw our environments. They didn't mention characters or anything like that.
Nope.
Yep.
Or an animatic, but
now they want an animatic.
Yep, and that's gonna be extra work.
Just storyboards, which is still annoying.
I mean, it's a lot because like this entire little chunk up here with a little bit of this, which is just refining the script, story team, full storyboard sequence, mostly story team, environment concept art, people who can draw, story team. I feel like this is.
Hey, Connor can draw.
No, I can't. I'm awful at drawing.
Well, and I'm taking a lot of.
Houston, I can only draw when there is a naked person in front of me.
No.
I can't even do that. Me, Ben, and Ryan are going to do the concept art, so
yeah.
We got
I don't know what you guys are worried
about. We'll get
it
done by Monday.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
It won't
As
look
long
good.
as we
but-
all like, well,
It'll be
it's
there.
fine. The thing with storyboards is that they're supposed to just encapture things, so don't think you have to make polished stuff like in my background here. Or this isn't even polished. This is considered a rough. But anyways, you don't need to
Right.
make that.
Well, that
You
makes
can
me
make
feel less good.
generalized.
Ben's like, I feel so much more comfortable now. Thank you.
Well, no, for me, like my personal quality is that I consider that a rough. Some people will say that's more of a polish, depending on who you're talking to. For how we went with storyboarding class, you didn't need to get super refined with it as long as you were able to make sure you had some depth and location of spacing and everything was clear visually. So it wasn't meant to be overly complicated. Like, trust me, but there was plenty of people who were drawing stick figures in space. And that was all you really needed to do to get the point across, was that it's all about visualizing the space of the scene, not necessarily like having the most prettiest drawings for it. It was a perk if you could draw really well, but that takes refinement and lots of practice. And I've been drawing for like 7, now going on 8 years. So I'm not going to be mean to anybody who's like, that my drawing skills aren't that great. I'm like, it doesn't matter. You can still make a storyboard, even with stick figures.
But Fritch, I wanted to tell you really quick, you have texture studies on there twice.
Do I? I am
Yes.
tired mentally.
Just letting you know.
physically. There we go. Gonna get rid of that. Yes, that can be a storyboard.
That's programmer art if I've ever seen it.
Yep.
And so that's just the minimum you need sometimes. It's literally all you need. You don't need like to me the only things that need super polish, especially is going to be that
Train.
request for environment art and lighting concept art. That's going to take some time.
Oh yeah, so what's the format they want us to go with for like lighting studies?
I'm
Because
not
they said they want it and then didn't tell us anything about how to do it.
Yeah, that's kind of like, I'm not sure how to describe the lighting studies other than, I guess, examples of the lighting we want maybe in some of the sets. That's the only thing I can think of currently
Yeah.
to kind of help it along, because otherwise it'll be illustrated studies kind of like I was doing before with some examples of like what it maybe it could look like this, maybe it could look like this. But yeah, it's just kind of like it would be definitely taking notes when we talk about this scene, are the lighting conditions we want, and going down the list. So it's kind of like a lot of it is very much going by a scene by scene basis of like, this scene's illustrated and we have an environment concept for it and we have a lighting concept for it, and they want it per scene, which is what's giving me anxiety. But we need to like make sure we can go through every single scene in general, because that's kind of how I know Chili's script was rough, so I'm hoping that at some point Chili will have kind of an extra interpretation. I don't want to pressure Chili because it'll be like, it's a lot of work all out of the blue, and some of those scenes still need conversation in order to get written. But we definitely need to make sure we go through every single section and be like, okay, we have this set done and this set done and this set done, and go from there, because it's just a lot. And I'm like, I understand they were like trying to be like comforting, where it's like, you don't need to do everything, but the completionist in me wants to ideally try to achieve it. At least attempt.
Well, keep in mind, we can continue a lot of this stuff through the earlier months of summer too, if need be.
Yeah, that's what
Like, I'd
that was
say
also
let's get the
part of my
important scenes done
scheduling.
first.
Yeah.
You know,
That was
like
also part of my scheduling thing, which is I have like a specific point in May where it's like, we need to reschedule what our meetings are going to be like in the summer based off of what people are comfortable with. We could either keep it the same as we did the semester, which is 1 to 3 for certain ones, and etc., or we could do a different combination. I don't really care. I am if someone says like meet at 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., sure, I don't care. Nobody's doing shit at that point, I hope. If you're working overnight, I'm sorry. That's really really shitty. But yeah, it's kind of just getting all the scheduling stuff done so we could get some work in the summer, because I have a feeling we're going to be working in the summer quite a lot of little things, and just keeping it consistent after like I'll at least be like, hey, if you guys want a break period, just let me know, and you could just cut out 1 week and take a break and then come back.
And we could take like rotational breaks of just.
I'm just wondering how everyone's gonna fill up a minute-long demo reel by the end of this semester.
I know.
I honestly
It's
don't get why they're
impossible for
requiring
me.
that. Because
It's
like I've been
impossible.
doing that all with the blogs. Like it doesn't seem like a demo reel. It seems like a portfolio would be a much better format for this than a
Mhm.
reel.
Well, it's
Considering
impossible.
like nobody's doing full turntables right now.
I know, right?
Like I can't do full turntables. I'm only gonna get screenshots, and most of my screenshots are logistical things. So
Yeah, I might bring that up Monday when
unless
they
if
like
it's
come in to check with
the
us.
only
Is
thing
like,
I
can you do a
have is
portfolio?
storyboards. All I have is my storyboards and any other illustrative things I'm gonna be doing for the next couple days, since we do need character art. Woo. So yeah, that's just how that is.
Yeah, I might bring that up to him on Monday because it seems a little. I don't know. Just a demo reel does not seem like the thing that would be best suited to present what we've done in a pre-production course.
Yeah.
It seems to me like a
Says you.
portfolio would be the better option. Because I'm like, okay, I don't want to make a minute long of just screenshots being displayed. That
Yeah.
seems really, really boring to watch.
Yeah,
Seems like
That's
much
what
better
mine
to
seems
just make a
too.
portfolio.
we can just
Yeah.
put effects on them in After Effects and make them like 10 seconds long each or something.
Yeah.
We might as well.
Because that's how we're gonna fill a minute.
Yep.
Yeah, because it's like the only thing I could think would be animated would be run-throughs of the environments right now.
Right.
Or like basic walk cycles or animation rigs.
Oops.
Which I mean would be fine, but I don't know if anybody wants to watch 60 seconds of that.
No.
John's here.
Yo, I forgot we had a meeting today.
It's
Bye,
okay. I think
message.
Houston accidentally disconnected, so we'll see if he gets back on.
See ya, buddy.
Yeah, but anyways, that's why like again, also a little note of like, if you guys want me to remind you the day before, I can do that. I can remind you the day of. If you need me to text you directly, get your ass over here. I will do that.
Wait, so what are we doing here? The presentation thing?
Repeat
So,
everything.
repeat everything, yes. So I'm just going over kind of a redone check-in of like things we kind of need to get done now based off of the updated request from Paul and Howard. And then I'm tweaking some things. And so for scheduling stuff, I'm only going to do like screenshot final check-ins on Fridays because I tend to do a majority of that on Fridays. And if you guys are like sharing stuff with teachers on Monday or Wednesday, I'll try my best to take screenshots of it. So that way it's a little bit less of trying to piece together what everybody has on the last day for me. Because that's what's been happening. And I'm like, I'm in pain. But outside of that, it's just kind of like we have to go through like getting the script refined, a full storyboard sequence, which trust me, I'm gonna cringe at that for a while. Environment concept art, lighting concept art, or light studies. It's either or. Texture studies, creature and character sketches. Wonderful. I'm assuming they would like us to at least attempt to have something personally rigged and brought into Unreal, and FX stuff for cloth and hair, as you guys been doing already. I would like a reconfirmation of the art style just to kind of like see where we want it to be, because it's kind of been like a little bit back and forth between stylistic, semi-real, real, and I'm like, I don't know where we are. I don't know how to draw what you guys want if I don't know which one we're doing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then this was just to remind, like for me to remember to remind you guys, yeah, there's going to be like a demo reel thing, but I do agree with Connor. It would be nice to just ask if if they would rather a portfolio versus a demo reel thing. Because for me in particular, I don't have anything 3D to show.
Yeah, there's not much moving and coordination. And again, I don't know who wants to sit through 60 minutes of DocX screenshots, but apparently Howard does.
Well, you could just do like, well, yeah, they would be screenshots. Never mind.
Yeah, like that's what I thought. I was like, just do a portfolio. That seems so much nicer and like easier to look through.
Yep. And then this is me just kind of like noting, scheduling stuff. So we have kind of, I don't know if they're making us do Wednesdays now. They keep going back and forth on this. I don't freaking know.
I don't think they even know anymore.
But Mondays I know it's academic. Wednesdays I guess is sometimes. I don't know if it's required or not. Friday is like official check-in time, but I want to add additional times where it's like either after 5:30 on weekdays or something that's just like content specific, like lighting, rigging, animating, whatever. Yes, Ben. I'm just like it's like a challenge to be focused on what I'm talking about and see stuff on the bottom of the screen every time. But yes, so that's kind of like all of this. Frenchie can't function.
Woo!
Cue the Windows sign out sound.
Oh yeah.
Dead. Okay. I don't know what that's supposed to refer to, but yes.
He just wants to make sure it says to 3.
1 to 3.
Oop, 1 second.
Hello, Monster Hunter. If I don't know that by now, I would be murdered because my brother is a huge Monster Hunter fan. But anyways, so yeah, I guess at this point it's going to be like, okay, what have you guys done so far? I'm going to just kind of reset everything because I don't know. Houston is revived! Hooray! That must have been like, I don't know. There's been a lot of disconnection issues that people have been going through.
Sounds normal.
Yeah, that's just everyday internet.
About average. And hey, Monster
Everyone
Hunter
must
is an
have
excellent
Xfinity.
ringtone.
I know. Monster Hunter is wonderful. I don't hate Monster Hunter. I freaking adore it. It's just I am like, my brother has played the music so much that it's stuck in my head and I can't point it out at any second. It's like, oh god. Yeah. Mine is the one that changes the least but just extends and decreases depending on what the hell is happening.
Ouch.
Like mine is constantly pain. It's like okay.
Yeah, I think we understand from your mic.
Sorry. I don't know why
it's
that's
okay.
a thing.
That is weird.
I think it's something with audio connection. Like streaming it, but because it happens to me sometimes on Discord for everybody else's mic will just do that, like blare the fuck out.
What's causing that?
I think it's it's your presence, Houston.
Oh shit.
God damn it.
Yes.
You said you paid?
Who paid?
You paid $405. Is what
$405 for what? No,
$405.
Yeah, mute your mic. I was enjoying it.
It was I was getting enthralled in the storyline.
You know what you dropped today. So that's all we've got.
Payment arrangements.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No. Yeah.
No.
Well, you better get on because they didn't pay us anything, and you still got $874 that's outstanding. So get them called because you're just now covering March. Now we got to cover.
You wanted
April.
this, Ben.
I did. And I'm enjoying.
You're on disability, correct?
Like daytime, like court.
Yeah, they should have.
I know. We're
just
just missing like some
the 1200
music cues.
Visuals. Music cues would be good too.
Yeah.
You might have to. Do you have access to the internet?
Dun dun dun.
No.
You need to go on their website, on the IRS website, to see if they're giving it to people with disability. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Well, everybody's already got it.
Thanks, Ben.
I got mine. He's got his, so everybody's gotten it. So you need to check to find.
Thank you.
Get that figured out.
I missed
Beautiful.
Just delete everything. Okay.
We're listening to Houston's life right now.
Not really what we should be focusing on, but okay.
Yeah.
I'm just letting things go.
Yeah, it's about right.
Everyone's on GitHub. I don't know if everyone's gone through Unreal Engine tutorial. I'm assuming, hopefully, yes. Hey, Ben. I think for set. God, focusing brain.
I can
we need to find a way to lock that annotation down.
Pretty sure you can, but
Yeah.
that's not fun. So.
But that's not fun.
But that's not freedom.
Yeah, exactly. What is this?
Yeah, you probably have to go on their the IRS website. They have a website
Okay.
you go on.
So figuring out what people need to do is kind of my
Just Google
situation
the
right now. I know we
IRS.
had we had
did.
Seth do some you had Seth
portal.
start on some animation pathing, so I'm gonna note that.
Well, yeah, what happened to the
that's
payment? Because we did not get any payment in March. Yeah.
Yep. And then I'm trying to like figure out what everyone else will be working on from this point forward, because it's like reconfiguring everything we were doing and just start
Third
over.
time we've had to do that this semester.
Yep.
Well, no, they didn't.
Not my fault.
Okay. Ben,
That
I
I'm
know you
blaming
were working
entirely
on
on
back
you.
on track.
stuff, so what do you
Yeah.
have?
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
probably have to look more
Okay,
into
thanks.
like cloth and hair and
Alright.
stuff and dive a little bit deeper with that because that's what they want. For the
Somebody
end of
was
the
supposed to pay
semester,
her
so.
rent last month.
Who's paying her rent?
I'm so sorry.
No, now I'm just curious.
Did you ever re-10-day her after she paid the 405?
Yes.
Okay.
I just love watching Houston
I like,
slowly
yeah.
sip.
Wait, so Houston, why are you not
slowly
in your
sipping
room?
the drink. He's at work, man.
Oh, that's why. I got you. That makes way more sense. I was like, what the fuck is happening?
In my house, we're very concerned about rent, and we
Yeah,
serve 10-day notices if you don't.
I
you
was
don't pay
like,
your
what
rent
is
on time.
happening? That's why I was curious.
I thought, yeah,
I
we
thought
thought
you
you
were
were
on
watching an
Definitely not in
episode.
my house.
Yeah,
We thought you
totally
were watching an
looks like
episode
your
of Days
house.
of Our Lives.
I had
My
no
mom
idea.
served me a 10-day
my
notice.
mom's evicting me right now. that's what's happening.
So I think I'm probably going to be doing some more texture studies and probably redoing a little bit more of the park pathing since it is such a big set.
Okay.
No.
No. And then doing as soon as we get that rigged character, I don't think I'd have any trouble getting the rig and the skeleton into the Unreal.
Yeah, I was gonna say you've done a lot with that. Sounds like you and Ryan have that
I
down
think we
pretty
have
much.
Yeah, I think we have the rigging animation side figured out for the most part.
You need one more loop.
Which character are we rigging?
I'm assuming Damien, because at least that one has a base mesh kind of ready to go to start on it, as long as it doesn't get changed.
Because I'm almost done with the base mesh if we have to use this one too.
All right.
Yeah, I was gonna say either way because we saw yours.
We could, if we can, we could always test it on both because I'm assuming they're going to use the exact same rig.
Hey,
Well,
Cameron?
what we could do as well is we could test TSM on one and Human IK on the other.
Just to see what happens.
Yeah.
I was wondering, Cameron, if you could, I don't know if like to the GitHub or where, but if you could upload the face base mesh that you made for the female.
Oh, okay. You want me to just throw like the head in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Chop the head off and send it.
Off with his head.
Do you want me to finish the ears first? Because that's what I'm working on right now. I just have the ears.
Yeah, if you could do the ears, because I think I'm
the eyes.
probably just gonna try and tweak that for Damien, since it's already got the angular style in it.
Yeah.
And then I'll just attach it to Damien's body.
Colin's not here.
Chop his head off.
Oh, no.
Well, right now he's just like a man.
You haven't done any more texture studies yet?
I have not had time to do anything.
Okay. Oh, no, you're fine. I was just making sure. So, just to confirm, the only ones we have are the
just
one I did for the park
Isaiah's
and then
the one
Isaiah's.
he did. Yep.
Okay. I'll start on the rest.
Colston, so you're working on question mark.
Oh, boards and Damien.
Beat boards.
Concept boards, whatever. Paul called them.
Well, they're different. So there's
Concept art?
environment, concept art, and storyboards are considered quite separate.
Okay.
Whatever the one is that we need to get done in 3 weeks.
Okay, so that would be environment concepts. Because I know I can do storyboards. I can do very quickly, but environment concepts are a little bit slower for me.
I'm thinking for the Leviathans, maybe me and Chili will just do those over this summer.
Okay, at
Definitely.
least get, if you guys can, a sketch
My
out
plan
of
was
what
on
you're
tree.
thinking for them would be helpful.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, sketch it maybe just
Just
a
have
silhouette.
tails.
Just a
Because I know
sketch for right
Hughes
now.
kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing I'd like is just a sketch
What?
idea
So the Leviathan has to have a
so far.
tail as large as the trees, the cedar trees.
The cedar trees in where? Lebanon? What? Why
That's
does
the
the
name.
Leviathan's tail need to be
That's
as
a
long as a
behemoth, I'm
cedar
sorry.
tree in
Oh
Lebanon?
my
Oh,
god.
that's the behemoth.
That's Houston. That's the name of your drama, Cedar Trees in Lebanon.
Right?
That's the
The
name of your.
sands of Modesto.
It's in the Bible. It's in Job.
Oh dear.
Oh no! Here we go.
We
It's in the
opened a
Bible.
very
Silence.
bad can of-
It's in the Bible. Silence. That was a beautiful mute timing, Houston. I appreciated that greatly.
I'm good with you, button.
All right, Johnny boy.
What?
John, you're so pale. Are
It's
you
your
feeling
turn.
okay?
Because these screens are so bright.
No, okay, so
Why
put
is your
your face close to the screen and I want to see your hair.
There we go. What? What do you
You
want?
have like hair sticking up in the back behind your mic.
What do
Oh,
you-
alfalfa!
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I know.
Alfalfa.
What are they working on? Station and stress blocking and
Yeah,
I think that's it.
stress.
Mainly environment stuff. I've actually extended the station a bit too, so.
Cool.
You're crazy.
And
So
then I assume
primarily-
once we get the rigged character, you probably want to do some preliminary animation stuff, right?
Oh yeah, heck yeah.
No, he's not allowed.
Are you sure you're gonna have time with your main group?
Yeah.
Ice whales.
Yeah,
Or
right.
load you. You
Yeah.
know.
I have not updated them, or they haven't updated me since, so I don't know idea.
So that's still a
Yeah, I was gonna
5% on the
say.
other team.
We kind of left him in the dark, but yeah.
No, but he has creative freedom.
Yeah,
Apparently,
he's
he has
officially
creative-
part of their group. I mean,
He's fully freelance right now.
If we believe the presentation.
I
Probably
was
gonna join
originally
IRS at this
freelance,
point.
and I was like, nah.
should we just like randomly pick somebody from their group and then start
Yeah.
our presentation off
Daniel's
with
part of our
so
group.
Daniel.
Yeah, Daniel's part of
Daniel
our
is
group.
now officially part of our group.
I mean, he was in the Zoom chat for a second, so
Oh yeah.
you should put him in there.
He was in the Zoom for
Official, not official.
He has full creative rights to our story and
everything. Yeah.
Okay, backing out. Backing out.
Back out.
No, just because I'm too tempted to say something I shouldn't say. Anyways, moving on.
Whoa,
Remember,
we
we're
gotta
still
stop the
being
recording.
recorded.
it's not
No,
pull a
let's
Jeremy.
Let's not do
Yeah.
What the
that.
fuck on the recording?
Yeah, fuck. I love that so much.
That the only thing is that I always put a disclaimer, usually in the beginning, where it's like, this is a bunch of college students making a game. Expect cursing. That
don't
one
say
I
those
I
words.
don't. And that one I don't care.
I'm strict about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no swearing.
That goes against Ben's Catholic teachings.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Have you ever met me?
Thanks, Best Buy sold me a wire that's the wrong goddamn wire.
See? Swearing. No swearing in this
Yeah, be
voice.
careful.
Yeah. This is a Christian
my-
Zoom
Oh,
meeting.
Yeah.
are there kids in here? Do we have
Me,
children?
John.
Me, John. Is there a longer list?
Actually,
Just
Connor's
you,
probably the
man.
youngest.
Probably close
Connor
to it.
is
Yeah.
the baby.
I'm gonna
Which is
even
surprising.
But I
share.
mean, good for you because we all did dumb shit getting out of high school.
Yeah, I wish I was the youngest.
Yeah, I know. For real.
Okay,
I like
to do this
okay,
again.
we can be
Yeah,
old
right.
together.
I know, me and you.
Yeah, me and you, bro. Go on. 30s and up.
Yep,
Woo.
yep.
Oh, man.
Actually, I've got a couple months till I'm 30, so living
yeah.
it up
I've
while
got
I'm
like a year. and a half.
Living
not
it
half
up.
dead.
I know.
Yeah.
Like,
Dad died at 60.
Oh my
That's the plan.
With
That's
my
the
family
plan.
history, I wouldn't be shocked.
God. Okay.
oh,
Fun.
Moving
getting
on.
dark.
Ryan, what are you
Ryan.
working on?
I like
That's
this.
why high school was my college years.
What?
Oh dear God.
I just
Okay.
like partied in high school like I would in college. And
Oh
then in
yeah,
college, I was
yeah.
boring as fuck.
Okay. I'm like, I definitely maybe started super early. So, like middle school was my college years.
I don't know if that's something to be proud of.
That's awesome.
All right,
Okay.
Ryan, what are you working on, buddy?
Taking Ambien and falling down my middle school staircase.
I'm still working on finalizing that stress labyrinth thing, getting it to fit the script. Though I think the script is still work in progress. So
Yeah.
it's
Hey, if you
Yeah,
have
we'll
any
see
suggestions
Chili in
that
a
make it
bit.
easier, then like please write them down and be like, hey, maybe this will work better. I'm in the midst of trying to design this and this isn't working or this is and stuff like that.
I think Chili had a couple like turns and you're getting pulled in a bunch of different directions that I'm not clear on.
I think things like always like work out real well in your head, and then sometimes when you like put them down, you're like, oh, that didn't.
Right.
Well,
yeah,
I think
we just got to talk it out.
I think
Yeah.
I think it does require a conversation because the stress labyrinth is a little different from the hallway, in which it's not as linear visually. I don't think it is.
Yeah,
It
it's a
does
little bit
have
all
some
over the
twists
place
and
visually.
turns,
Yeah.
and that's what really needs tweaking. Is that it does need some like shifts in directionality a little bit, but it's also figuring out how to visualize that without like getting people disoriented as fuck, because like going around a corner is going to be very jarring.
And I think if we do that, it's going to firmly take us out of the realm of VR, because doing that's just going to make some people fall on the ground or puke.
Yeah, I will die anyways.
Yeah, moving someone without their consent is kind of a
a no-no in VR.
Seth, remember that time? What's his name? Alan, I think. Remember when he was in the VR and he accidentally fell off a cliff? He just dropped. Not Alan. Oh,
Addison?
Addison. That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah, and he just fucking dropped like a ton of bricks.
I do remember that. That was hilarious.
Yeah. And then there was the time I ended up tiptoeing out of it because I teleported into a staircase.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this feels so wrong.
There's nothing below my feet, but there is.
What the fuck? Why am I not on a stairwell? This is so weird.
Yeah, got to be careful with VR.
Yeah. I definitely think if we're doing the stress hallway like that, that takes us probably pretty far out of VR.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe instead of moving the whole labyrinth, you move like the background. So that way it's a little disorienting, but the maze itself doesn't actually change.
Maybe. Well, we were also talking about like doing stuff where it's like you're on the roof or like the whole path like twists and you like walk with it.
For the I think that's for the stress
I think the twisting was stress hallway. The twisting spiral hill, like whatever.
I think
Okay.
the labyrinth does
that's
some
stress
bendy
hallway.
stuff as well.
Yeah.
Labyrinth does more bendy, disorienting maze kind of feel, but not a maze.
Yeah.
Because that's what a labyrinth is.
Oh my goodness.
Monster Hunter. Okay. I need to stop dying every time.
Oh yeah, I should say I kind of more or less
Anything else
just
we
got
need over
started.
Walmart? Cabbage.
What? Hold on, I can't hear you.
Need cabbage.
Hold on one.
Hold on, once you
more
meet
or
your
less
mic.
just got started testing or figuring out the workflow for animating like layers and bringing in different package animations. Not going well, but I'm starting with that. So.
That's good. At least someone's starting on it.
Yeah.
Gotta start somewhere.
We're gonna say it's like animation transfer testing. Yay.
It's going slow. Unreal has some major caveats with baking animations, but
Right.
Okay.
that was the other major. That was one thing I did want to bring up too. Is kind of a major thing with rigging is I don't know if we'll be able to use blend shapes for facial animation. It might just have to be controllers.
Okay.
John's pretty good at that, so.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, blend shapes are just
I like
morph
controllers.
targets, right?
Blend
Hmm?
shapes
Yeah, it's just
are
easier.
just morphing. Like
No,
it's
no,
swapping
like
stuff though.
in Unreal,
Explain.
Unreal calls blend shapes morph targets. Like
Oh.
you can have them in Unreal, I'm pretty sure. I
Oh,
thought.
so you can still.
Yeah, you can import
Maybe.
two different deformed meshes, or the same mesh just deformed different, and then I'm pretty sure it's called a morph target. I don't know anything about
I
it.
believe
just
you.
Thought that's what they called it.
Yeah. At least when I
Add to the list
thought of
of
morph
research
target, it
more.
might just be like a rigging target, kind of like how Asri does it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Might
Yeah.
be.
I'll have to look at that.
Yeah, I'll look it up as well, and we'll see what it is.
We'll put both of you in morph target question mark situation. The
Two
fuck
eyes are
is
better
it?
than one, or two sets of eyes.
Just my left and your right.
Yeah. Between the two of us, we can make a fully fledged animator.
You make a John. Okay.
No, John's on the other team.
John's over
Yeah,
here.
John's not with us.
He's
What?
a whaler now.
I've disowned him.
He's a whaler now.
We'll have to consult with Eric to see if we can get John to work on.
Yeah, we need his
No,
permission.
no.
I
He'll give
really
it to
don't
us,
know
though.
why he had to announce like my name. Like that was
Yeah, that's kind of funny
He
because
had no
again,
idea.
he talked to me too, and I was like, sure. I said probably more than you.
And I just sent him one email. Like I don't even talk to the guy either.
Wait, did you send him an
messaged me
email or did you
before.
just
I more or less
message
said
him on Canvas?
Well, obviously
know.
you're real high on the pedestal in his mind.
Yeah, John's like #1.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Apparently he's the
I
best.
don't know.
He saw his
I-
blocking and he was like, "Oh,
Be
we
the
need this
best.
guy."
Oh,
The time where you're gonna have to go
Actually,
like
I don't know if
check your
anyone
else has
Facebook
seen
the
photos.
blocking.
And
No, he
make sure
didn't
none
see
of them
it.
are-
He didn't see my blocking.
Oh wow.
He
I
just
think he saw
knows.
John's character acting and went, "Oh yeah, that."
What?
Maybe he was talking about a different John, and we're just all confused.
Yeah, the John without an
Oh.
H.
Maybe.
The John without an H.
So good.
The Jonathan without an H.
Cameron, it's your turn. What you been doing?
I've been working on this character, the female. All I have left is the ears, eyelids, eyeballs, and mouth bag. But when I get
Yay.
done with the ears, I'll put it in the GitHub for Houston. And then I've just been like on the side doing a couple of the assets, like the DM screen, and working on the dice, like the different kinds.
Cool.
And then of course Steve's class takes up quite a bit of time. So
Yeah,
Same.
no, that's for everybody. Don't feel
Right.
bad.
Yeah.
This
you're
will
good.
be a very different list if we all were done with Steve's class.
Are
But
you
we're
sure?
not.
Yeah.
Walk cycles were pretty easy.
yeah, I was looking at the
Oh,
asset
man.
list, and I think most of that will be done in the summer, just between all of us and not being able to really do anything. So
I've done a
Yeah.
couple assets, but yeah.
yeah,
I
I've
feel
just been
bad
like
for you
when I'm
guys.
tired of something.
I did that walk cycle in like one day, so that won't be a
Yo,
problem.
I did the muscles in one day, so
Yeah, so we're
fight
The
over it.
muscles were intimidating at first, when I was like, "Oh, this shit's easy."
What is
Yeah, it
what is he making you guys all do?
Wait.
Wait, who? FX?
In FX, yeah, because
Wait.
it seems weird to me that he's like animation dual.
Stuff we like have to talk about right this second on topic stuff.
All right.
off topic or on topic?
On
I
topic.
think the art style thing is cool, worth talking about.
Oh,
Definitely.
like where is our
Yeah.
art style going?
Didn't we settle on like Dishonored style?
I thought
Uh,
so.
Yeah.
Like the issue is that I think everyone is visualizing that, but when it comes to like how we're approaching it, it's kind of a either or right now. So it's for me, it's like I'm not 100% sure if that is correct or not.
Mhm.
So
Well, the nice
that's
part
why-
about that is it's a lot more textures for a lot of it, other than like characters and stuff.
Well, a lot of their modeling style is similar to that too.
I mean, do
At
you
least for
want
like more simple
my base mesh to see sort of where I was going?
That would be.
I don't know. Like, I never played Dishonored, so I like sort of saw it in the mood boards and shit. But
It is a cool like painterly like art style. Like it's not super realistic looking, so you can kind of get away with not making anything hyper real, you know.
Well,
Yeah.
I think even just going off of like just with the Dishonored one's concept art, it's a lot more sharp, I guess, than the
Yeah.
actual final
A lot of
product
stuff
was.
is much more angular.
Angular,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I
Yeah,
think
which is
you
where
could
it's
push it
kind
in
of
either direction.
yeah, it's kind of like you could either push it to be more real or you could push it to be a little more stylized. If we push for more stylized, then it'll change our approach and texture.
I think
and aesthetic.
Dishonored
Yeah.
1 was more stylized than 2 is, but 2 has more realistic environments. So
Personally, for me, I think stylized would be the smarter option to go to, since the game is more of a I don't know, like
yeah.
I feel
You
like
want
if
the ability
not
to
grounded.
I
poke
like
more surreal
stylized.
things.
yeah, well, because if
I
you
think that would
do,
work.
I think if you do realistic, people are gonna expect more than just visuals.
Yeah, then you'd have to make it look good, and it would be like.
Well, I
And
think
I
that's
think-
where it becomes you have to make sure all the FX are on point and realistic, all the lighting is realistic, everything is on point.
Yeah, and
For
so
me,
that's
it
why
comes down to
degree
yeah.
of real.
the faces, I think, would be the biggest hurdle if we push it too realistic.
Yeah.
For
Because they
rigging
can
and
get
for animating.
they can get uncanny valley.
Yeah,
right?
Well,
I think the faces that
Well, in-
in Cameron's his model looks pretty angular, like good for
Yeah,
the style.
right.
I can
Make it
show you. I
blank.
have it open if you want to see it.
I just
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can
As
show
well.
us.
I
Let's
think
take a break from my screen share.
I think you can get more people into the game too, because with realism, even if you make it super real, nobody's gonna go, "Oh my god!" You know, like they're gonna be like, "Oh, that's normal."
Yeah, they're just gonna be like,
well,
oh, it's
that's how it
another
should
realistic
look.
game.
You know, like that's how
or,
it should
or you'll
look.
notice how far it is from being hyper real, you know?
Right,
Yeah.
but like I'm just
Well,
saying,
in,
like,
like-
Style.
Yeah,
There's
see,
no,
like
like-
there, I think we have the angularness right there.
yeah,
We
she's
have
got
the-
like real
Yeah.
angular cheeks.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say teeth. I was like, shouldn't have teeth.
Well,
Those teeth.
not to mention that if we do go for hyper realistic, we're gonna get the comparison to AAA studios, which I'm not saying we can't do, but like we don't
I
have
would
that
say we
experience.
cannot.
We don't have, like we could
Yeah.
try our best, but we are not those people yet.
Yeah,
So since
I
you've
am
already
that.
got the
AAA studio.
angularness of this character, like I'll take, if I can, if it's okay with you, I'll take that base mesh and I'll just push the eyebrow bridge forward to make it more of a male. The cheeks a
You
little
could
bit more.
probably like widen the jaw a little bit.
Yeah, widen the jaw. You might want to widen the jaw even on her,
Okay, like just pull it out a little bit.
just a little bit. I think I get what you're going for, and I think it's good because it makes the cheeks more angular. But in this base mesh, I feel like we've lost her bottom jaw completely.
Oh yeah, right there.
Oh, perfect.
there we go.
That's
what
where
we
the
need.
jaw is. That's
Yeah.
Gotta love Maya sculpting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the jawbone is usually right under the ear.
Oh, back here. Okay, I
Yeah,
see what
yeah,
you're
yeah.
saying.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
The bigonial width.
There should always be just a little out dent right there, even if it's small.
Keep hitting Z.
I got you, Ryan.
Yes.
I've definitely seen people where their chins don't like have much of an out dent and just kind of attached
Are
to
you
the
thinking of
collarbone.
Trent right now?
Shut up.
I knew you were. I knew you were.
But I've never seen somebody's jaw completely disappear unless they like have had surgery.
Or they're a fish.
Well, I guess
Yeah.
what I'm thinking of is this poor woman who got her jaw shot off.
Okay,
That's what
well,
she
we don't
did.
have to sit here and watch me. Maya sculpt.
That was fun.
That was an enjoyable turn of events.
I kind of forgot I was.
As you forgot, you didn't have symmetry on.
Oh, yeah, I do.
But yeah, so okay.
I
we
think
can have, like,
I think
tweaks to sculpts and
environment
stuff.
environment modeling can just be the same, but the art
Yeah.
style is probably primarily on the texturing department.
I was gonna say, and with that, with
That's what I
texturing, it
was
means
saying.
we're gonna have to pick some more tonal like sparsity, like because how Dishonored does it is they have a very like set sparse number of like at least colors that they use.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna
For
say
the
the color
skin, it's
palette
all
is very.
similar. Yeah, they have a very like limited amount of colors that they use to get that painterly style.
Okay, so we're gonna like that's why I requested to like reconfirm it, so that way we can be like we might want to lean a little bit more in between semi-real to style.
Is
So we're like
Chile-
shifting it lately.
Is Chili and Colin, who else are we missing?
I don't know what's going on with Colin.
Whoever who is in here, they're cool with it too, right?
Is in a work meeting, so that's
ain't
why
here, you got
Chili's
no
not
choice.
here.
What is Colin
but
working on right
I
now?
thought Chili was able to shift sooner, but I guess they're taking a lot longer than Chili expected.
You should confirm it with them too, just so we're all on the same page.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Yeah.
I think
Since we're on that
record
topic,
on
kicking Josh.
Wednesday.
I had to for John's sake.
Of course.
Yeah.
John wants it.
Okay. But yeah, because with the texture studies I've been doing so far, they've been a little
Okay.
more on the realistic sides, but I could definitely take what those textures are realistically and stylize them down more. At least we can.
Well, I think that's why this is like the question of why I had to bring it up was because it's like depending on how much time we have and like with a stylistic look, we can at least have a little bit more care. But the issue is that when that gets brought up, it definitely is going to result in character silhouette being brought up, which I will try to get that working. Because when the characters are sketched, when you do a little bit more stylistic, then you care more about their silhouette. Oh, there's a Chili! Hooray!
Yo.
Hi, Chili! Chili's still connecting.
Hello.
Hi, Chili. Your meeting
Hola.
went longer than anticipated, I assume.
Yes, much longer
Don't.
than anticipated.
It's all right.
No excuses.
Ironically, you came in on the point where we were like waiting to ask you a question about this. Was we wanted to reconfirm what kind of style approach we wanted to do, in which we're like in debate on should we keep it realistic or do we want it a little more stylized so we can do different kind of texture tonal palettes and looks.
Do you mean textures, models, or all of the above?
All of the above.
This. I'm always real fond of the idea of like realistic characters, stylized textures, but I'm also fond of the idea of stylized characters, realistic textures. So maybe I'm not the best person to ask about that.
Well, we were considering a shift because due to how we're going to progress, the issue is like if we aim for realistic, we're going to get compared a lot to people who are AAA with realistic, and so it's going to add a lot of expectation.
But I think that we shouldn't be afraid to do a style if we want to do that style because of who we are compared to.
Yeah.
I think that at the end of the day, if we set ourselves a goal, we'll either rise to the challenge or like do our very best to do that. And I think that in and of itself is a good quality in a group. I almost called us like a company.
I mean, at this point, we basically are.
Yeah. So
Pretty
I think that at the end of the day, we need to focus. When it comes to picking a style, we need to pick it from the context of our own game and not think about the other questions as far as like, oh, who are we going to get compared to? Is this going to be difficult? We want to pick it for a reason.
Well, that's
game
what,
and
that's
not
more my
think about
perspective than the outside perspective was it's like, is it matching how we're visualizing the narrative or how the narrative is going? Is this style we have one-to-one or should we consider tweaking it to match better?
And I think someone already brought up that since we're going with a lot more surreal, kind of out of this world stuff, it might work better stylistically to go more stylized for that unrealistic story we're telling, I guess. If you know, so
cool going.
That's how I feel.
Personally, I think it could lead to a lot more, at least to me, with how our environments are going and how a lot of them are getting blocked. I think it would lead to more interesting environments to look at. Like, I think it would make them prettier to go a little more stylized.
Yep.
Like you can now, like having it more stylized, you can kind of like bend some of the logic of how the environment should look a little bit.
Well, it's just more reason for the viewer to be interested in the game. If it's just a realistic style, then I'm like, that's not, I don't know, like realism in an artwork is a style, but like in a game, it's just like, if it's real, you're like, oh, okay, it's real. And then you're just like expecting the other stuff to be like your visual stuff. I don't know.
I wouldn't say that. I find realistic style like very visually striking if it's done right. But the if it's done right being the question.
The issue is that if it's done right.
there's like a lot of games that are like super beautiful. I also think that like putting a realistic style into an Unreal world is very jarring, which I think would add to the feeling of the game. Because you're like, ah, yes, realistic real world stuff, and then suddenly it's not real world stuff that's happening. Other stuff that is just as realistically rendered is happening, so it's kind of trippy. Is
I think
I
that
don't
could
know. I
work.
kind of like it,
My
but
my biggest fear would be
both
just
ways.
it would pull people out of the experience, you know. My biggest thing is if we do that and it's not like completely and utterly 100% spot on, it's gonna take away from the experience because
it's
people are gonna get
Could
pulled out, at
also
least to
the
me.
challenge is getting the people to be the best they can be as far as
Me?
look goes,
I think
because the I feel like the creatures in the environment we can get like spot on a realistic scale. It's like kind of not hitting that uncanny valley with our people. That would be
Yeah.
tricky.
Yeah, that's the thing that's the hardest, which
Because
is
for the people, it comes down to the model, the texture, the rigging, and the animation.
it's
all being
absolutely
spot on.
everything at once when it comes to humans. And that's what makes it really tricky in
Mhm.
wanting to do realistic people, because it's every little detail matters from the beginning of concept art to the texturing and the rigging and the movements. It has to be so realistic that usually when we see really well done realistic games, they are usually mocap matched, or they have a lot of visual reference to mocap match. And that's going to be really tricky, especially with we don't know how long
Well,
Corona Hell is going to be.
And one
So-
thing with A-lister games too is like this muscle stuff that like they're doing in effects. Usually, most of them will have that too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If you're gonna make
Or
it real, it's
the
gonna have
face
a little
capture.
bit of like you need to account
the
for each
muscle
muscle.
stretching
I
and
love
things like
muscle
that.
sims so far though.
Yeah, I know. Honestly, we might be able to do that between me, Chili, and Ben, and whoever else. I think it's just us three in the FX class, right?
Yeah,
Out of our group.
what are we talking about?
We're doing muscle sims on our characters now, man.
It's decided we can't go back. There's no turning
You
Figure
Yeah, I
out
could
how to
do
get that
it.
into Unreal and make
Yeah,
I could
Wait,
do
no,
it.
Houston. I feel like we understand the challenge of it, but we're just debating the style first.
Mhm.
Like, I'm really
Yeah,
not
my
really for either
comment
one.
was for the debate.
Yeah, I'm not really
We could also change
for
styles.
either one as far as the style goes.
Very neutral.
I'm very neutral.
I like style.
Yeah, I'm more for the stylized.
Style.
Yeah.
I
then
think the
we
stylized
can-
just gives us a clearer visual. At least to me,
Okay.
I can picture it a little bit better in my head as more of a stylized than a realistic work.
Well, it
Yeah.
seems we have a pretty
But still, like
heavy majority of
like
people who want
stylized,
style.
but like off
don't
of
care.
like
I just-
realism.
I
like,
just
right?
want
We're
to
not
The
gonna
middle
like
ground.
doing like full
Yeah.
Pixar
put in.
where there's no
No.
wrists or ankles.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
I just
but that
want to
makes
put
life so
in
easy.
that we are deciding this off of the good of the game, not necessarily the challenges that will arise.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
the
Right.
challenges that will arise,
That's
I
going
think
to
that
happen.
as a group we're pretty good about like rising to the challenge.
Yeah, it's not really the
So as long
challenge.
as we're deciding this more on like the eventual look and like
Mhm.
the feeling that it provides for the game,
Mhm.
then I'm all good with that.
Okay. So it does require a little bit of rework because adding a stylistic take with the characters will definitely require silhouette. So that's going to be my new priority is character sketch with silhouette, because we're going to need approval for that based off of requests, because that's going to need to get approved.
Or just
Yeah,
do
I
it.
was gonna start character sketches today.
Ben,
I'll
do
work
it.
on that as well, because I think that's now that we're kind of like confirming we'll be more stylized and adding more tonality to
How
Do we
so
want
how
to try
stylized
and?
is it going to be though? Because we decided on the kind of like sharp features before.
I think we're keeping that, but
I
like
would.
adding more emphasis into that kind of shapiness, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking if we are sticking like, I mean, obviously we're not trying to like completely copy Dishonored, but still looking at Dishonored, I feel like they're pretty proportionally
Hello?
normal or like anatomically accurate in their bodies at least.
Like, I mean, I don't mind the like realistic proportions, but everything else
Right.
is stylized and like
Mhm.
nitpicked a certain way. That would
Again,
make more sense.
I think what we're
Yeah.
talking about is just stylized like textures for the most part, and then people.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as for the sculpts,
Yeah.
what I was understanding is they just need to be angular. As for the
Right.
textures, I'm not sure.
I think the
about
textures
that.
we were going for more of a tonal range, more of a color range, kind of more painterly, like picking a few colors and making them work more than necessarily going for like a big
Yeah, I kinda
noise or
like-
more realistic.
I like that it's like stark, but so we're going stylized with the characters with that being angular, and so we also want to go stylized for the textures. Is that
Yes.
what the?
I think because a lot of those, like, to me, a lot of the more visually interesting games kind of use those more tonal painterly shifts as like using a more, not limited, but just restricting their color palette just a little bit to add some more contrast and bring some more flair to their environments.
Coming from an outside, someone who's more just kind of getting started with the project, based on like the mood boards and kind of the stuff you guys are talking about, and then there's the whole theme with the Leviathans. The first thing that pops into my head when I think about those kind of elements is like more of a gothic style, something you'd see in like a illustration for an H.P. Lovecraft story.
I mean, you're singing
That
to
was
my
my thought,
heart, in
too.
which I would love the shit out of that kind of style.
Same.
Yeah, can we get Cthulhu in this game somehow?
Yeah. I mean, I love Lovecraftian aesthetic.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. That like
Seriously.
sings to my heart very deeply. And going with that kind of aesthetic is a big shift to what we pitched. But if we pull it off, it'd be beautiful for the surrealness of the narrative.
Yeah, I mean, obviously not bringing in tentacles and Cthulhu and all that, but the same kind of colors
Might as
and
well.
the same kind of lighting is more what I'm thinking. Not
Yeah.
necessarily like actual, because there was a lot of
Like more of a painterly texture.
yeah,
Muted.
not
quality
necessarily.
than-
Yeah, more the texture and the lighting and the quality of the artwork, the feel that it kind of brings more than like. I know there was a lot of more.
Yeah, I
religious
like
things that got
I
brought in
like
that style.
that
but not-
style, just maybe not so watercolory.
Yeah, my thought was maybe like take that style but add a little bit more vibrance to the colors, and like that's what we're going for.
And like a little bit more definition of the details, because they like there's a couple of these that are like very watercolory.
Right.
Like
Definitely.
it could be like you take it even further, it could be abstract.
Yeah.
See, now I have to look at this because I'm like,
Yeah,
Think
I have to
about
model
these
teeth,
things.
don't I?
Yeah,
So
lots of Cthulhu.
It's gonna be
Yeah,
lots of Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Like when
There's
I
a
think
guy.
Lovecraftian, I always think of like the tonal, almost kind of like a really hyper detailed sketch.
If I can say,
Browns, blacks, and inky. That's-
just from because I only know like really MMOs because that's what I'm like super into. But an MMO that decided to, instead of use real textures that most games will use, like either trying to scan them and get them as real as possible, this game decided to paint all their textures, and it's Guild Wars 2. But all their environment textures are painted.
I love hand painted textures.
It looks
There's
absolutely
a lot of
amazing.
work.
pretty.
I
Yeah,
will
Guild
warn
Wars
ahead
is-
of time. They're very intensive to do. They look beautiful. The hand painted is a pain in the butt.
Hand painted is a
Can't paint.
pain in the butt, but hand painted is something that
We
like,
know.
we would have.
We know
Yeah,
how to do it. Jeremy spent.
we would have more people to help.
Yes.
Because I feel like a lot of trouble comes with like just taking pre-textured stuff and just plopping them onto objects, and that's kind of where we get that kind of like, oh, it's easy, it's simple to just do that, but it
Yeah, it's
doesn't
done.
look.
Woohoo.
But because you're focusing so hard and because you have to work so hard on hand painting them, the quality ends up being bumped up naturally.
Yes.
Um,
Also, Chili, you don't have like a lot of the texture artists were saying on Guild Wars 2, you don't have the repeating issue. because like you can paint it for how long you need it to be.
Yeah.
Whereas some textures, like, you know what I mean, there's certain length and size, and you either have to stretch it or repeat it.
Jeremy's hand painted textures assignment was one of my favorites, honestly, and I think to this day one of my best looking texture sets.
And like truthfully,
Looking back
like
on it,
for a game that can't like have too much because it's trying to also allow for the bandwidth of multiple people online, their world looks superb compared to other like MMOs I've played where they're like, let's try and go with real textures and also not do half the environment.
And the other advantage to that too is it doesn't place us in a time frame. Like the problem with another big problem with going super realistic is like that stuff gets dated fast. Like I remember everybody talking and toting about Battlefield 3. Oh, it's so realistic, and then you look at it now and it looks kind of like crap. Like it's still fun to play, but like that art is no longer realistic.
Well, and you can like, even with like as simple as like colors, you know what I mean? I've seen some games where they obviously picked the wrong like tree bark for like what would grow in a forest, and it just looks wrong. But I'm sure they were bombarded with like 5,000 different tree barks, and they were like, all right, what do we pick? You know what I mean? Whereas like if you paint it, you kind of have like control over that as you're doing it.
Okay. So shifting texture to hand painted. Sounds
Or something
intriguing.
similar. Because my other
painted
thought
or
was,
painterly.
Like trying to figure out how we're going to stylize textures.
maybe for
Well,
some of the hero assets we can go more hand painted, and then for some of the more repeatable stuff, more painterly.
for sure.
So, like they
Well,
fit in a similar style, but
and it may not have to be embedded within the textures themselves. I know there's a lot you can do with Unreal's post-processing.
yeah.
They
The
have
painting.
a stylized rendering project example, and it very much captures like that kind of watercolor. I don't know
When
if
I
it's,
don't,
well, not necessarily watercolor, but it definitely looks like drawn in and painted.
yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if this sounds too crazy, but like you know, there's apps you can get that like take any photo and it'll turn it into like a painting or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if we
There's
could like
definitely
just
ways we can get
throw
around.
textures in there and like let it turn
Cell
it into
shading.
yeah, something like that.
Well, not cell shading. I'm gonna
IRS.
No.
As much
Yeah.
as I love cell shading, I'm not gonna touch it, go near that, because for me, narrative-wise, it feels like it matches more like visually. I see it as
Cartoony
something
feel,
that's it's more comic, like graphic
Well, and
novel
again, you
comic
can
than
change
cartoony.
because of our like the way we set it up. You can change textured style throughout like train cars, even if you really wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I can see that.
Like I said, this is like adding a different kind of workload on top of what we already have to do. But that's why I had to bring up the talk, because it's, for me, it's like it heavily will impact how we design the character sketches and the environment art. Is knowing what look it actually should be in. And so I love the idea of like a more Lovecraftian gothic kind of aesthetic, just to add to the surreal bizarreness of it.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's like it's just making sure we select like the tonal palettes we want, and then having it be like how restricted that's going to be throughout the narrative. Because I do like the idea of like vibrant, and then it kind of dilutes and mutes out and gets darker over time.
Yeah.
But just
Like
how does that look? Like how to set that up is what is the question. So it's very much going to be a lot of art research for that.
And I mean, a game that's done something similar, though they have cell shading instead, is Borderlands 3, because they did their Guns, Love, and Tentacles DLC, which is purely based on Lovecraftian mythos.
Well, maybe
And like they kept their similar like drawn style, but put it in that Lovecraftian context.
Doing the environment where it's slowly getting more diluted, maybe the monsters could get more vibrant and saturated as he goes through.
that'd be interesting. To have that contrast.
Well, we would have to illustrate that just to see how it could potentially look, just to make sure that it's like visually, like it visually would kind of tone well. Because that's the thing of needing to make the environment and character stuff, is like making sure that when they're in the environment that we put them in, that they visually contrast without kind of like either blending or like hurting your eyes when you look at them. So that's kind of all color balancing.
If we're trying to go the gothic route, at least for like monster encounters or whatever, we could look at something like Bloodborne. Like the
Bloodborne's
way that
amazing.
the way that they light or have like the I don't know the way the monsters blend into the background but also stand out. You know, everything's kind of shiny in Dark Souls games, so it's something to look at.
That's true too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that'd be a good reference for that for sure.
You know, like some of the bosses are like or areas are like noticeably rimlit or like there's a strong rim light and then everything else is kind of dark and that
Or
gives
like
it a
halfway through the
certain
game, how it changes.
yeah.
Just like yeah, no, I get what you mean.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
the
with
way
the
it
Blood Moon.
produces that, Blood Moon, where it produces that feeling solely, even like no monsters, no nothing, but it still gives you that
Just the
feeling with
lighting,
just
yeah.
the lighting. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that doesn't really help if we're talking textures right now.
No,
I
no.
think
But
color palette wise, they do keep everything pretty muted, or like almost monochromatic per area. So something like that.
Yeah, a lot of blacks, browns, and grays.
Yeah, and they'll pick one for this area, basically for two.
So okay, so that's like we're going against. So like I have to like the visually think about where it's like, okay, do we want to go more monochromatic tonal, or do we want more vibrancy? Because then it'll like change the tone in certain scenes for sure of how it looks just a little bit.
I think it could vary scene
yeah.
for scene.
So like
having
certain scenes will be more monochromatic and certain scenes will be more vibrant.
Right, I think it really depends on
for
the
me,
context.
it's gonna matter very much context wise. Because for me, like certain
Yeah.
scenes, when you're thinking about them, I'm like, a lot of the scenes with the tree are mostly very kind of paint. Like visualize more colorful, painterly, daydreamy.
Right.
And then when it becomes the memorial location, then it's completely like switched to the monochromatic, gothic, a bit more. Like I said, I visualize it as more textured, like inky and rough, and not as like soft, like more rough strokes almost. It's kind of like if you were using an ink brush versus a paintbrush. It's like more textural.
Well, I think for sure it would be kind of weird if like this Damien scenes or like the happy scenes weren't vibrant. I mean, we could paint the whole game with that sort of tone, but I think having vibrant, like you would definitely want to push the vibrance for happy, safe.
I don't know if it's just because I like have like a random ADD mind, but I like picture some scenes to be vibrant, but then like the whole like dark room scene to be very like
dull
noir, noir, black and white, and then just like a harsh red light.
Totally.
And so like
and
some
again,
scenes,
it goes back to like they're all memories. They're all it's
interpretation.
more of like kind of be more free with it. So I mean, if you wanted like almost a noir feel for that scene, you theoretically could do that if you had a good like reasoning behind it.
I think that could be cool if we like narratively, because our main character is a photographer, so like he's like has an artistic interpretation of the stuff that happened to him. Maybe.
Yeah, we could change the art style depending on what the feeling of the room was.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
I don't want to jar people too much though.
No, I'm not saying drastic changes. I'm just saying more like layers of feel, style, like paintbrushy to like there's like a small little
that could be a
difference
thing,
between
well,
the greatest difference
like,
and you just change depending on.
I like the idea. There seems to be also like a thing going on with that. Like when I've never seen shows where they're like, let's try multiple different art styles, and I think I've seen 2 Bob's Burgers episodes now where they like let the fans draw the episodes. And so that's becoming like a thing, like changing the style.
I guess
different scenes. I mean, that one's like a drastic example because they're doing completely different art styles because they have the fans draw them.
Right.
And I guess my thing would be, let's aim it towards different art styles of the textures. The models would stay the same.
Yeah.
And the people would stay the same, but the environment would differ because that environment is based off of rebuilt memories.
I think
so
that'd be cool.
depending on his emotion over the scene, that affects the feeling in the style. And the style wouldn't change like drastically. Like we wouldn't go from like cartoony to like hyper realistic.
Yeah.
It would just be more of like how much paint
Saying,
or how
though,
much medium is.
I'm just saying though
going
that does seem to be a thing. We could like go straight
color
from,
and the lighting
starts in Pixar and then it goes to like 2D and then
Pixar.
Look, if there was a 2D scene out of nowhere, they'll be like, "What the fuck? When did you?"
I'd be so down, and then it goes to like 8-bit, and you're like,
it kind of reminds me. It reminds me of
jumps to Black Desert graphics.
Epic Mickey.
I was just looking at it.
For me, that's very much like for me, it's more of a homage to the styles, a love for all the styles rather than just a specific.
I was gonna say, Chili, do you think then, since like the memories and the environments are changing because they are in his memories, it would be kind of cool if then like the monsters didn't they didn't
like
change since
they were solidified throughout
because
the
emotion anxiety doesn't like it changes but it doesn't go away.
That stays the same.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure like anxiety
they're gonna
feels
stay
like
in
anxiety.
Look, but yeah, that'll be a lot of texturing such. But how I have
especially
it,
since the outside world is his subconscious, the outside world wouldn't change. That changes according to his mental state. That doesn't change like with him affecting the memory because that's his subconscious.
Right. You always have anxiety. It's just when does it show up?
Okay. So how I have it currently is kind of monochromatic browns and blacks for stress and intenseful scenes. And like a special one was just like the dark room is going to be more noir, harsh red. That one's just noted as a separate style. And then anything that's happy, including Damien, or kind of daydreamy, is very vibrant and soft and a little more flowy aesthetically. Does that kind of make sense for the narrative shifts, or at least how many narrative shifts we have?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so that'll leave it to 3 very specific palettes to build, but at least that'll be like, once we set them up, then we know how to texture each scene based off of the palettes.
So then, my next question would be, should the story and the writing kind of shift to some of those styles as well? Like if you're going to turn the dark room into a noir kind of thing, should it be written like a noir story?
It all depends on how much Chili wants to write.
I mean, it's not that visually different from a noir scene already.
Yeah, it's like I think
it's
from
already
what we've imagined. It's already pretty.
The flowy scenes basically we're putting the mood of scenes into the textures visually, but those moods were there when I wrote them.
Yeah, most of them were there.
So I don't a little bit of tweaking, but I don't imagine it being too much tweaking.
Yeah, it's more like the story is informing the art at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good we got that nailed down.
Yeah, because I'm like
sweeping those revisions anymore.
Yeah, because that's kind of like I wanted to make sure we kind of clarified the aesthetic look, because that's going to affect like, okay, we're going to have illustrations of these characters. When we're going to draw the Leviathans, they're going to be much more intense compared to the illustrations of like the characters. Like for me, I'm going to probably have all of the characters be drawn a little bit softer just to match that they're more positives, especially to Alex. They're all positive figures to Alex, so they're going to be more matching that vibrant, soft, kind of daydreamy look. But the creatures are going to match more of that like darker, intense stress situation.
Just like I understand soft with like the lighting, but try and like keep them angular.
Yeah, I'm going to keep the angularity. Like that seems to be like a stylistic that needs to stay throughout the whole thing. I meant soft in like more lighting aspect.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know how much of this will be actual texture work. I feel like that would be more lighting and post processing than anything else.
Definitely.
Yeah, I want tons of lens flare. Like you can barely see.
I want it to look like
J.J.
Abrams
so
farted on our scene.
Sun in your eyes. Like it's gonna cut back on animation. We won't have to do half the animations. You won't be able to see anything.
We will make it a VR game, and it'll just be you standing inside of a lens flare the whole time. You
Yes.
won't actually see anything. It's just
We'll rename our game.
Turn, it'll get brighter. You can start to see the streaks.
Okay,
We'll
but
rename our game to J.J. Abrams Jack-Off Material.
Yes.
Oh God, no!
That's recorded.
I'm still recording.
Yep.
J.J.
Oh,
Abrams
Paul will
experience.
laugh. You know Paul will laugh at that.
That's
If he
detention
watches
for
it,
you,
that's the
Connor.
question. But anyways, okay, so that helps me kind of detail out on like how I want to approach when I'm reading the script. I'm like, okay, this scene matches this tone. I can illustrate it this way.
Is
So
this
that
gonna
helps a
break
bit
my
too.
camera.
Please no. Oh no.
I started drawing him, but he's not stylized.
That's not bad though.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to like do a deep
We need to do some art
like
style
a
studies.
model study on because I don't know how to draw angularly.
But yeah. So
I mean,
we're gonna
part of
have-
it depends on where your angles are. I mean, if you're more angled in like the chin and cheeks, it may look more like something like Norman Rockwell.
He has a naturally sharp cheek line. The person I'm basing the second best friend off of.
Let's make it sharper.
And yeah, so I guess I'll just go off of that natural feature. But having sharp chin lines, or not chin, cheek lines can be kind of like it can turn the character unsympathetic, basically.
Well, that's the thing that we were trying to balance was that
Give him
it's
a
like,
butt chin.
God no. Anyways,
I want his cheeks to look like they have a chamfer on them.
I want him to have dimples and a butt chin.
Dimples and a
Yeah,
butt
no,
chin.
that was the debate before.
I want him to look like Jorgen von
How
Strangle.
angular
Crack in the chin
will
means devil
make it
within.
less character appealing and more kind of like deterring away.
I think all the friends should focus on appeal for sure.
Yeah, like I think you want the opposite, in which all the creatures you want them to be terrifying, so you want to push that not uncomfortable aesthetic. But for the friends, you want to kind of keep their character appeal. So it's like I would say they're gonna have the angularness, but probably softened very slightly, just because I know it'll. If it's too much like Dishonored, they're gonna be very unappealing.
I was gonna say a lot of the characters in Dishonored are pretty ugly. So.
Well, I mean, to be fair, they're also pretty ugly people you're supposed to kill, so.
Right.
Like, the only person you're supposed to feel sympathy for is the main character and the little girl.
Or the guy who drives the boat, right?
No, he betrays you in the end.
Does it?
Yeah, fuck
At least if you get the bad ending. If you kill everybody instead of save them, yes, he betrays you and fires a flare. And then you can kill him.
That
that
firing
was a dark
flares.
turn of events, but
How
yeah.
dare he fire a flare?
So we'll
He
have
fires
to
a
do
flare
some
while you're trying to break into a
studies
maximum security
for
prison.
that.
I know. What a whore.
Okay, now that we have that
I have a
detailed.
general sketch that I can now try and
It's
draw
like I wasn't
over,
there yet.
'cause you see, Frenchie, you know me. I don't draw in the blue construction pen if it's the final version.
Nope.
So I'll line them out and then I'll like try and redraw angular versions over this face to see if I can like get it to work. Remember how I said that I'm not very good at drawing stylized and that I was happy to draw the people because if we're going more realistic and then now we're going stylized and now I'm stuck again.
Well, guess what, Julie? You're going to learn to draw stylized. God damn it.
Yep.
Well, that's the thing is like my particular aesthetic is in between, so I can go more stylized if necessary.
No, we know you thought you were going to escape this by going into an animation degree, but you're going to have to, much like going into a painting and drawing degree, you're going to have to figure out your style. And we're not sending you to another country for it.
I don't want to figure out my style, Houston. I'm not very. I just mimic. I'm a really good copy machine.
Well,
That's basically
here's
what I
the bright
am.
side. Most artists get like 4 years to like really work that out. You have 4 weeks.
Good news.
It better not be a copy of anybody.
No.
Keep in mind, there's like 7 billion artists out there that all have a style.
Okay. Okay. So we figured out aesthetics and stuff. So we're going to start working on the character and environments and lighting concept based off of those aesthetics. Yay, and tweaking textures to match. Refined script is whenever Chili feels like it, because it's a lot to do already with besides the script.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna focus on the other stuff since the script we have a majority of stuff done with. So
the only
script
pain
can
is
be edited at any
storyboarding
time,
the
but
missing
we
parts.
need to focus on
I gotta figure out
the concept arts of the characters first because that's due and the script is not.
Yeah, the storyboard for the whole thing is also
that too
required.
There's a lot of drawing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, for the time limit, we really, really need to get together and like piece this out. Not everybody try and tackle the storyboarding. Like, we really need to be like, you handle these scenes, you handle these scenes.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay.
If we had tons of time, I'd be like, everybody draw them all out and we'll, pick. But we don't have.
Oh yeah. And then it's
time.
like triple confirming is that I want to figure out some extra meeting times. Seth and programming people don't need to have to do this. This is just for us to like have more specific topics to be able to just talk about story and just talk about this and just talk about that. Besides our just official check-ins at 1 to 3, because I have a feeling that's where we're kind of having issues. Is that we need to talk about stuff, but we need to make sure we make the meeting and go and talk about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can we make that like between me, you, and Chili right now? Like,
Okay.
I'd like to do it tonight. I mean, I'm at work right now, so maybe not right now, but.
Well, currently I have like just a temporary, like anytime after 5:30 on weekdays. I don't know if that's feasible.
Well, let's like set a date.
Okay.
Yeah.
So calendar time.
Much like I would do with my people who haven't paid rent yet. Let's get a date in there.
Okay, what date? We have all these days.
I'm super down for tonight. If we want to get on Discord and just piece them out, it's not going to take that long. It's really not.
Yeah, I don't mind doing it tonight, just with the understanding that if we're talking them out and piecing them out and deciding who's doing what, that's fine. But I will also be simultaneously rendering and like swapping through stuff for work because I have to get vendors out.
Okay, so
it's not like mentally intensive, but I will have to be clicking away as we're talking about stuff.
Okay.
If it's tonight.
So what time tonight then? I can stay up stupidly late. I don't have a job anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry, Frenchie. I'm down for 6 or 7.
Okay.
Make it off work.
6 or 7. 6:30 in between.
Doesn't help that the little hand that popped up on Ben's screen is the same skin tone as him. I literally thought you had your hand up like this.
So we'll do today 6:30. Any other meetings of concern? To add additional stuff as we go.
Yeah, I didn't get to see John's walk cycle or Ryan's, so I would really like, because their last names are a little high up on the list.
Okay, let me. That's not topic focused. I will don't make me pause the recording again. So I just want to make sure if we make any specific meetings for people to join, to like let me know, or to like have that scheduled. Like if you guys want to do just lighting only for each scene, should that be a specific day?
Should we set an environments day and a like sculptors day?
Yeah.
Like, for them to meet.
Yes.
Spa day.
Yeah, this is for you guys now.
I also have Jackbox, so we can do Jackbox days.
What?
Oh yeah, I have a couple of those.
Yeah, Quibbits or Quiblet.
Sure, let's do Jackbox.
Quiplash.
Jackbox days.
Quibbits.
Well, okay,
hey guys, let's play Quiblets.
Okay, what should Jackbox Day be? Pick Jackbox Day.
Let's make a quick game called Quiblets.
It's up to you. I'm here 7 days a week.
I'm home.
I'm always home. So
I'm like,
this
I
is
don't
based
move
off
from
the
this chair.
people who have jobs, okay? What is
Nighttime, I
Jackbox
guess.
Day?
My jobs are all my jobs are online. So as long as you don't interfere with the small times when I have like strict deadlines, and on Tuesdays and Thursdays between 3 and 4, I am now teaching the children's online.
Oh, fun.
How's that going?
My Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays
it's actually
are pretty
going
full,
much better than in-person classes.
Alrighty.
Because if they walk away from the computer, it's not my fault. I don't really have to care.
I mean, we could make game
Probably Steve
either
doesn't care
like
about me.
Saturday evening if you want a play, like let's just play and do stuff on Saturday evening or
I'm cool with
or
that.
Friday evening. It doesn't.
Sure. Either way.
Can't go out on a Saturday anyway, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
I was
Friday evening.
Me and Cameron will have beers.
Yes, definitely.
Saturday.
Look at John.
Saturday evening. What time do you want us to be at? How late do we want to stay up?
8
Let's start at 11:45. I'm just fucking with you.
Like, I hope you're
Let's
kidding.
start at 2:30 in the morning.
Like, yeah, what? Cameron's like, it's 12
Just
somewhere.
so you
huh?
know,
Nah,
if
I
you put
passed
it
out
on
at 8 last
Saturday,
night.
can we make it later so I can
Yeah.
cool
do
with
my
that.
full sleep in? I'm sorry, I'm practically nocturnal. I need to sleep
Yeah,
on Saturday.
Look,
I'm
how
old,
late? Like, do we
an
go
old man.
past 7? Do we go to
You
10
better
p.m.?
quit that sleeping schedule. They're going to make you a render farmer.
I hereby
They'll be
send
like,
you to Render Farm.
That one over there.
To the graveyard
That one
shift
doesn't
on
ever go to
render.
sleep, so we can just send all the renders on that one.
Oh no.
Okay.
Oh God.
Supposedly they don't sleep, so that's the best time to be
gotcha.
rendering is 2:00 in the morning.
Okay, I'm gonna make that 7:30 because nobody
He's
said a
beautiful.
time.
That works.
But now I have to make
7:30
him
works.
style.
Left chin.
Is this
Oh,
Tom?
Yeah, just make his chin straight.
No, don't call him Tom. And also, that wasn't the name.
Yeah, wasn't it Matt?
I know.
Matt.
Don't
Yeah.
tell him the name.
Oh shit, sorry.
Matt.
I'm calling him Lee for simplicity currently because that's who he's based off of.
Sure, it's not Matthew.
Is
Lee.
Christopher Lee?
He's based off of Lee Jong-won.
Lee Jong-un?
Sorry, I'm calling him Kim. Because Lee Jong-won and Lee Jong-wook,
Not all
there we
named
go,
Kim, Chili.
are, huh?
That's awesome.
Huh?
Okay.
Kim is
I'm
the
fine
dude
with
who I'm basing it off of. Lee is his brother, which I'm
Gotcha.
using for the younger features. But Kim Jae-wook is who the dude that I'm basing it off of is. So I'm just calling him Kim for like now.
Gotcha.
Not
Makes
Matt.
sense.
That way I can like remember his name.
Not yet. Matt's final
Okay.
product.
No. Matt will never be
No,
final
I
product.
want-
Matt
I
is a
want-
nobody. Matt
I
is a
want
nobody
Boulevard.
that I listed.
Wow.
I want at least one of our
Sure,
male
okay.
characters to be based off of
Friendly,
young
man.
Joseph Stalin.
Does Matt know?
Oh, God.
Is
Have you
Matt
seen
aware
young
he's
Joseph
nothing?
Stalin?
Spoiled.
Look at that man.
He's cute.
Yeah, young Joseph Stalin's very cute.
Wait, which pictures? The one he photoshopped or the real ones?
No,
The
the real
ones he
one's of him when
It
he's
went
like
over my
20.
head.
When he's like
Yeah.
20 and still robbing banks in
The ones he
Georgia.
photoshopped in 1955.
I know, right?
No,
That's
like
what I
look
was
up
thinking.
young Joseph Stalin.
You'd
This
be
is off topic
surprised.
now, Frenchie.
Okay, wait a
Photoshop's been around
second.
for a while.
You guys
Someone look it
don't
up
give
and
me a
then
point.
screen cap to do my check-in.
Yes, chili chicken. So,
chicken.
Harold's
what are you
basket.
planning on doing?
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, so it's like I'm just like writing down what everyone's planning on doing since we all basically have to rework what we're doing from what we were prompted with, which is all of the
everybody's-
stuff.
What everybody's doing and whether or not you think Carol Baskin killed her first husband.
Oh, she did. She totally did.
She totally did it, right? Like, totally.
Like, oh my
I don't
god,
know who Carol
100%.
Baskin is.
Have you not watched Tiger King?
No.
You gotta watch Tiger King.
Oh, I
Can't
watched the
focus.
first episode because it's mandatory for my nonfiction writing class. And I'm
Too
like,
mandatory.
okay, like he's
Carol Baskin.
crazy, but I'm kind of sympathetic towards him. Like I
Yep.
don't like the lady
I'm
that he
not.
supposedly
Yeah, that's
I'm
that-
not
that lady
sympathetic towards
sucks.
him and his like kind of violentness in towards the end, but like I don't
Here's the
I
thing,
don't know. I
everyone
don't like
Tiger
the
is
lady
totally
either.
infallible.
I don't know who I agree
Yeah.
with, but I
Well,
don't
they
like
all
the
suck.
lady.
Tiger King is
I just
everybody's
think
horrible.
that he treated the animals like shit. So that's
Everybody.
why
Yeah, that's why
I
he's
don't give
mainly.
a shit about the people. Fuck
Yeah, that's
them.
why
Fuck
he's
the
mainly
animals.
serving time is
Yep.
because he killed
Right.
11 tigers and they
Yeah.
were
He
not
killed
sick.
11
This is-
tigers. I haven't hit that part yet.
Spoilers.
No.
No, we're spoiling.
Oh,
Okay,
Oh, we spoiled.
off topic by
Oh,
a
shit.
thousand.
Ryan's like, we
That's
spoiled.
not-
supposed to start the check-in. Everybody
not
starts
in
talking
the
about
show.
Tiger
Sorry,
King.
Frenchie.
That's not
Continue.
in the show.
Wait, that's a good check-in. You get that recorded?
I'm forced to have that there now. Thank you.
Nice, nice.
Okay.
Killed her husband, whacked
Carol Baskin. It's this whole thing.
I'm on the
I
board.
know, I saw that.
On the
Vince meant
borderline.
that it didn't happen. Fed them to tigers, they snack it. What's happening? Carol Baskin.
The whole
Okay, okay.
Okay,
Chili's
Frenchie.
checking. Go.
Okay,
I'm
what am
gonna
I?
die.
What am I explaining? Like what I did?
What you
Or what I'm
are
going to
planning to do, what you're going to do.
I am drawing the character arts for, at the very least, the best friend, but I can draw the others. I just gotta figure out the style first.
No, I'm gonna be doing the same. Don't worry.
And then the storyboards and beat boards and a few of the concept arts. But we have to decide which concept arts and which storyboards later at tonight's meeting.
Okay.
So which ones I'm doing is kind of up in the air, but I am doing those 3 things. I'll edit the script here and there, but I'm focusing on the storyboard and the character concepts and the concept art first.
Okay.
And if I have time or if I like something strikes, I shall move back to the script. But since those have deadlines and the script does not, we should focus on the ones that have deadlines.
Okay.
All
right.
And I gotta actually like figure out how to actually make stylized art instead of realistic art.
Yep.
Don't ask me.
Okay.
Fewer
No.
lines.
So that's the last of check-ins. Since Colin didn't show, I hope he's doing all right.
He's dead.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, with that, I
Yes,
can
okay,
finally
moving on.
officially stop the meeting. Officially
You sure
stop
you want
recording.
to? You sure
Yeah.
you don't want to record this?
I already
We're about
have
to go
that
into deep
video
discussion about Tiger King here.
forever.
man.
And, no, I
I'm just
can't.
saying, either he had like the earliest prototype for a jet,